From the ashes of humble beginnings, rise the sense of regeneration, signaling the dawn of a new age. The foundations of the old and antiquated, now demolished, and in its place the newly built pillars of fearlessness and opportunity. Dreams are clearer, expectations are set higher, and the quest for championship gold is even stronger than it's ever been before. At one time or another, everything goes through a period of evolution. The world of wrestling is no different. Welcome to a new age. Welcome to a new era. Welcome to a new FWE.
Inside of the Fantasy Dome, we welcome you here tonight to Fantasy Wrestling Entertainment's Thursday Night Throwdown. As I'm Seth Cole alongside the Wayfinder Cruiser Champion Jack Mitchell. And Jack, in 72 hours, we make the return to Fantasia.
Just like that, 3 days away from being inside Disney World, of all places, for our return to Fantasia. The first time we've been at one of our older PLEs, and we have some tournament finals to settle this week. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. A couple of semifinals taking place here tonight on the women's side. And we are going to be kicking things off with one of those matchups right now, but not exactly the usual stipulation that we were expecting coming into tonight. Well, you just heard the ring announcer, Mike Rome, announce this as a triple threat, and the main reason for that is what went down last week.
Snow White hitting that superplex from the top rope, destroyed the ring in the process, and the referees decided to throw the match out, and getting a little bit of a retribution because technically neither of them were eliminated. That means both of them have moved on to this next round here. It'll be a triple threat to decide who moves on.
Ursula, one half of the unholy union. The last chance for a member of that duo to fight for the Iron Queen title. Maleficent already eliminated in her qualifier. And we showed you the footage of what happened last week. It's kind of interesting because more than likely, if you ended up telling me that somebody superplexed Ursula off the top rope, Snow White might not be the individual at the top of the list. I think she showed something to the entire women's division, that maybe deceptive strength that she's got.
Yeah, look, that match was thrown out, but I feel like a statement was made regardless that Snow White was able to display some insane power like that, and you never know, that could turn some heads in the back.
Both of these women advanced via that no contest. This woman advanced into the semifinals, picking up the victory in her qualifier.
And representing the crew from Kingston, Jamaica, Elizabeth Turner.
Elizabeth Swan still holds the record for longest title reign with a Women's World Championship here in FWE, but I have to wonder what her mentality is coming into this matchup, Jack, and the fact that later on tonight we will see Jasmine taking on Ellie. One-on-one matchup, traditional rules. In a triple threat, it is an entirely different situation. There's no countouts, there's no disqualifications. Weaponry can come into place, and your percentage chance of having your hand raised at the end of the matchup is extremely slimmer.
Yeah, I'm sure that she's got that in the back of her mind. I feel like, if you're Elizabeth Swann right now, it has to be as much added motivation as possible. You might see a little bit of desperation, I feel like, coming from her in this matchup as well, knowing that the circumstances are different on her side of the bracket than it is on the other.
Also an interesting point of note, Ursula, you see looming out there, holds a pinfall victory against Elizabeth Swann. That was in a #1 contendership match back when Poison Ivy was holding the Women's Universal Championship.
This is all for an opportunity to head to Fantasia and become the first ever Women's Iron Queen champion. Our new world title on the women's side that is exclusive to Thursday Night Throwdown. Of course, we've got a similar tournament on the men's side going on, Fatal 4-Way style, so we'll see the Fatal 4-Way for the new Universal Heavyweight Championship as well happening at the PLE.
Yeah, we already know that Levi McIntyre and Cole Eastwood have advanced into that Fatal 4-Way. 2 more individuals to be decided. That'll be on our go-home show of Saturday Night Smash coming up here in 48 hours. As here you see the triple threat rules. Ursula to the outside. Elizabeth Swann was to the outside there as well. All this out here perfectly legal in triple threat rules. The pinfall submission have to take place inside of the ring, but again, you kind of have to switch focus if you're Elizabeth Swann, not a one-on-one matchup. However, let's also bear in mind, not only is she a former Women's Universal Champion, she is a former Hardcore Champion. So does that maybe, in a sense, not take away, or not add a disadvantage, I should say, to Swann?
I don't think it does. I feel like she's just, again, more motivated than ever, especially not just with the different circumstances, but like you mentioned, the past experience as well that she has being a champion. She was a world champion for 162 days when she held that belt. It's the longest reign for any woman's side title. So, I feel like she's going to be really fired up to try and do whatever she can to win this thing.
Spinning forearm by Ursula to Snow White. Swann with a drop kick to Ursula. Of course, as well, Snow White and Ursula taking each other to task in that matchup last week that was called the no contest, leading to them both getting effectively a bye, I guess you could say, in the tournament, advancing here into the semifinals.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, isn't it? Because neither of them won the match, so they end up getting a bit more of a difficult match. One other thing, too, speaking of difficult, is hold on, look out here.
Code red there by Elizabeth Swann, cover on Ursula, and Ursula kicks out. Snow White was there to break it up. I'm not 100% certain she would have broken it up in time, though.
That was really close. One thing I was going to mention, too, is that you mentioned that the PLE, we're 3 days away from that. That's not really a thing that we've experienced before here in FWE. We've had, back in the past when the Saturday shows were FWE Extra, we've had go-home shows there, but you get to wait until Thursday. You basically get a week to prepare to rest up and to get yourself as ready as possible for the PLE. You have to go to Orlando in 3 days. Nobody's going to be at 100%.
No, great point. And even when we had, the FWE Extras on Saturdays, still with the PLEs being on Thursdays, you got 5 days to be able to recuperate.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be here on Saturday for Saturday Night Smash, and then we're heading to Orlando the next day. So it's definitely, with the Sunday PLEs, completely changing the schedule, and people are going to have to adapt and evolve to that one.
You have to wonder which of these 3 women are going to be booking their flight to Orlando, to the most magical place on Earth, as we'll be just on the outskirts of Walt Disney World. Another code red, this time on the outside by Elizabeth Swann, and I kind of wondered if maybe we would end up seeing Swann and Snow White team up to take out the bigger individual and Ursula. It does not look like that's been the case. It has been essentially the moniker, every woman for herself.
I have yet to recall a scenario where that actually kind of was the case, where you would think some kind of an alliance like that would happen, but these 3 are trying to make sure that they capitalize on every given opportunity they get, no matter who it's against.
Swan and Ursula back in between the ropes. Snow White to her feet on the outside. Now looking under
kick.
the ring for something. It's now Elizabeth Swan at the second rope. Oh my! I'm not sure where that kendo stick hits.
Elizabeth Swan's got the kendo stick.
Oh, gracious!
And Ursula didn't even feel it.
And now Swan with that airplane head scissors takedown on Snow White. I'm not 100% certain that's who she was originally aiming for. Oh!
Oh, man.
Big takedown there by Ursula. Almost a modified flapjack. And now working on the leg of Swan, trying to take away the vertical base. We know Elizabeth Swan likes to do the high-flying maneuvers. If you've got a gamey leg, you're not going to be quite as nimble.
Absolutely, and now this matchup is all Ursula.
I mentioned about the fact that Elizabeth Swan had to go through Maleficent of the Unholy Union to get here to the semifinals, now having to deal with the other half in Ursula. And Ursula is dangerous enough as it is, with a kendo stick even more dangerous, but turns the tables, does Elizabeth Swan with a shot to the gut. And now a little cohesiveness here between Swan and Snow White, if for a brief moment.
It was very short-lived, though, as Elizabeth Swan was waiting for Snow White with that kendo stick in hand. Now the DDT in the middle of the ring. This is a golden opportunity for her, but she doesn't go into the cover.
Now going to pick up another kendo stick here. It's
they're
wailing
both
away
the
on
same.
Snow White. Here's the cover to advance to Fantasia, and Ursula breaks it up at 1.
Kind of questioned the strategy from Elizabeth Swan there. She dropped a kendo stick just to go and pick up another one instead of going into the cover, and now she's in trouble here near the rope. There's no rope breaks.
That's indeed correct in a triple threat rules match. Big knee to the forehead there by Snow White. Elizabeth Swan might be out. Now Snow White throwed it on the top rope, and was that a reversal there by Elizabeth Swan with the neck breaker?
I think it was.
And now pulling her up. Swan's on the outside, and Ursula kicks out at 1.
I think that knee from Snow White might have busted Elizabeth Swan open, but that was an impressive reversal if that's indeed what happened there. But these kendo sticks, getting their money's worth. Well, that one just got shattered.
Right across the top of the head of Elizabeth Swan, as if the odds weren't stacked against her already. I mean, for Ellie and Jasmine later on tonight, they at least know it's going to be a one-on-one matchup. 50% chance of success, only 33% chance of winning this type of a matchup. And this type of match, you've got to have your head on a swivel as a battering ram from the top rope by Ursula.
Oh, man.
You see the height there on that enziguri. And might have been going for both there on that springboard moonsault. Only got Ursula, though.
It really surprised me, though, again, when you think about it with Elizabeth Swan, the height that she's able to pull off. I mean, you see moves like the Pirate's Plunge, she's able to really get off the ground, so.
Uh-oh. Oh, electric chair suplex, bridges into the pin. You see how she had the arms kind of crossed there, taking away leverage from Swan to be able to kick out.
Again, impressive stuff there from Snow White. We don't typically think of her as being able to do this sort of thing.
Oh, no! The poor unfortunate soul to Swan.
And Snow White might take advantage of it. She got Ursula out of the ring.
Perfect opportunity. Into the cover to advance to Fantasia to fight for the Iron Queen Championship. And Swan got the shoulder up at 2.
Ursula was not breaking that one up. Snow White almost stole this match.
Now Swan back to her feet with the assistance of Ursula. Oh no,
not again.
Looking for a second, poor unfortunate soul. Snow White throws the kendo stick, now trying to steal it again. This time Ursula not going to allow it to happen.
Did not get her out of the ring, did not dish out enough punishment with that kendo stick, and now Snow White's going to pay for that.
Now Snow White in the corner, stunned after that right hand. Ursula feels that Elizabeth Swan is ripe for the picking.
Has them
Now
both
going
in the
back
corner.
under the ring, another kendo stick coming into play.
Oh,
Oh! Two shots, one for Snow White, one for Elizabeth Swann, and now Swann's got a kendo stick of her own.
I was about to say, that might have been the most dangerous kendo stick yet that Ursula had just used.
A backbreaker, cinching in that move right across the knee. All three individuals on the outside of the ring as Swann driven ribs first into the steel steps.
Oh, look out, Ursula has no idea. Oh man, the steel chair to the back of the head drops her.
Snow White getting a little hardcore with the steel chair. Shot to the head, shot to the midsection. Ursula is down, and now can Snow White try and take advantage once again?
Pause there for a moment. That let Elizabeth Swann get back to her feet. She'll hit that Hurricane Rana.
Oh man, Ursula.
Oh boy.
Had a handful of steel steps for a moment there. Whoa, Swann from the top rope, Hurricane Rana to the outside.
All of this has kind of allowed Ursula to catch her breath for a moment.
Oh, and Swann might have been thinking about some type of a scoop slam, just cannot lift the bigger individual of Ursula. Oh, but now gonna hit the standing Spanish fly. Wow.
My goodness, that was impressive.
Ursula now down. Snow White saw right there, was more than willing to allow Elizabeth Swann to deal out the punishment, and now a DDT of her own.
That was why, because now it's down to those two, but just like that, Ursula getting backed up to her feet.
Oh, nice side Russian leg sweep there by Snow White. Now Swann's got some steps.
He's going to bring them into the ring. This could be very dangerous.
Swann Irish whip, no! Caught Snow White midway through that run. Now Snow White Irish whipped off the ropes. Pirate plunge! Into the cover, but Ursula is right there.
Could be the opportunity that Ursula needs. Snow White might not be getting up for a while.
Oh! Massive slam by Ursula. Now Swann is down, rolls to the outside.
That was actually smart.
Oh! Spear off
doing
the side
everything
of the
she
ring.
can to try and knock Snow White off
Look out!
the apron. Oh! God.
Massive elbow to the outside onto the floor. Pirates plunge on the outside!
Oh my.
And now could Swann take advantage of this? Snow White just now getting to her feet, and Swann wants to take Ursula completely out of the conversation.
Yeah, there's no way that Ursula was getting back up. I mean, she was just helped to her feet, but these moves and that Pirate's punch to the outside might have been... Oh, Ursula's
moving. Well, you say that. She's the first one back in the ring.
I guess, like, commentator jinxed that one in a way.
Oh!
Oh, man.
Chair shot to the head of Swann. Might have caught Ursula in the lower back as well.
It's some kind of a move that sent Ursula outside the ring, and now Snow White, look out!
Hurricane Rana from the top rope. Took just as much out of Elizabeth Swann, I think, as it did Snow White. Look out!
Oh!
Suicide dive by Elizabeth Swann takes Snow White out here just in front of us.
And a kick to the gut for good measure. I'm honestly...
Look out!
Goodness. Got the signs for a reason.
Snow White is still not moved. Now getting to her feet after that suicide dive. Ursula's got Elizabeth Swann up on her shoulders. Oh!
Oh!
Gosh!
Man.
Lower back driven into that barricade.
The possible condition for these people, because the PLE is only 72 hours away. And I mean, at this rate, they're not, whoever wins this matchup is not going to be 100%.
Whoa, hold on! Disarmer locked in here by Snow White! If Ursula had tapped, it would have been over.
Now Snow White rolling to the outside. This is a golden opportunity for Elizabeth Swann. reining in those shots with the steel chair. I just hit one. I thought she was going to go for more. Instead, going to go for the cover.
There's the cover on Ursula to advance to Fantasia, and she'll get it done.
Against the odds.
Here is your winner, Elizabeth.
And what a path to get to Fantasia, having to go through pinning not one but both members of the Unholy Union, the second of which here tonight in triple threat rules, and now Swan will await the winner of tonight's main event.
I don't want to take anything away from Ursula and Snow White. They both put on a show, but to me, that honestly kind of feels right. They moved on to this round because of both of them getting a bye with the no contest in the first round. It felt like Elizabeth Swan, the odds were stacked against her when she had to face this situation, but she prevails nonetheless. She'll be waiting in the finals.
Ellie and Jasmine, one of those two women will face Elizabeth Swan in 3 days' time at Fantasia for the brand new FWE Women's Iron Queen Championship. And up next, it's tag team action as the round-robin tournament continues. 0-1 teams, Huntrix versus the Disney Queens. I guess you could say we are in the second round of this round-robin tournament as all four teams involved have been in action in at least one match so far. But this matchup here tonight almost seems like must-win because both Huntrix and the Disney Queens have come out on the losing side in their first matchups.
And this is something that I talk about repeatedly with the K-pop Demon Hunters. They still have yet to pick up any win of any kind here in FWE. So I feel like this matchup in particular for that team, it's must win.
Disney Queens have certainly been busy and will continue to be so. Belle and Rapunzel, former three-time Women's Disney Tag Team Champions involved in this tournament. They fell prey to Team Let It Go last week. Now find themselves, along with Huntrix, at the bottom of the list. Mutiny, of course, with the victory over Huntrix. And something I noticed here, as the Disney Queens were making their way down to ringside, you noticed it the last time we saw Huntrix in the ring, how they kind of changed things up. They've done so again. The last matchup we saw it was Mira and Zoe. Now it's Zoe and Rumi. So they're trying to find something here, it seems.
I didn't even know you could do that. You could switch members in the middle of a tag team tournament. But I guess at this point, they'll take whatever they can get because of what's happening right now with this team.
Looks like Zoe's going to start for Huntrix. Belle going to start for the Disney Queens. And as you bring up that point there, you know, you could potentially see probably if this is a rule of something you can do, you may be able to see the Disney Queens do the exact same thing. However, Jasmine's a little bit busy here tonight as she's going to be involved in that qualifying semifinal match with Ellie to see who's going to join Elizabeth Swan in the finals at Fantasia for the Iron Queen Championship. And we also know that Mulan, she's going to be in action the Thursday night after the Fantasia PLE, putting the Female Fighting Championship on the line against Ellie. So there's every possibility that by the end of next Thursday night, Ellie could be a double champion here in FWE.
Could very well be the case.
Remy with the takedown there on Bell, and we mentioned about the fact for both of these teams, this could really be considered a must-win match because we know that every team is going to face off against the other 3 teams at some point in this matchup. So you're going to be involved in at least 4 different matches.
Cover.
If you end up going into an 0-2 deficit, the math still is there for you to maybe be lucky and maybe have maybe a 4-way tie, but you find yourself pretty much in must-win situation, maybe even already eliminated.
I think you are. If every team is only getting 3 total matches, if you're at 0-2, you're basically done. You would need a 4-way tie, and then for some kind of weird tiebreaker or something like that. I have no idea. I don't think the math is really there if you fall into an 0-2 hole in this. If you're only going to get 3 matches too, you basically need everything to fall your way, and even then I don't think it's going to be possible.
So if you fall to 0-2 and you know you've got that one last team to go up against, what do you do with it going into that matchup? Do you kind of go in thinking, I'll play spoiler in a way, see if we can at least get a W here in this tournament, and maybe while we're eliminated, we can, in a sense, maybe eliminate somebody else?
Maybe. I mean, that would just cause some grudges, but at the same time, you might as well try and at least prove to people that you can still win matches in that situation.
Zoe with a takedown on Rapunzel. Bell, the legal participant, going to go to the outside here to meet Zoe. Referee Ernest Wright beginning the 10 count here. I don't even want to entertain the idea. What would happen if there was a double countout? Do we end up having both teams go to 0-1-1 or something?
I think that would be the case. I think. Not totally clear on the rules or what Commissioner Woody would do about that, but
I would think a double countout would have both teams then eliminated if that were the case, if we ended up having to go to a tie. I don't know exactly how the math would work out, but
then again, though, you look at what's going on with the women's Iron Queen tournament. You had a match that get thrown out, and both people just moved on into a triple threat. So who knows?
Well, Rapunzel not legal on the outside here, distracting and hitting a back body drop on Zoe. But I believe with Bell exiting the ring, I think that's going to reset the count. The referee was up to a count of 7. Disney Queens could have very easily won this match via countout. Oh! German suplex on the outside, and now going to keep the arms locked for a second. Now hits the trifecta.
Again, all on the outside. They're eventually going to have to work their way back into the ring. Only driven gut first into those steel steps.
Referee at a count of 7. Bell Purse on the top rope and gonna hit the lower back with that elbow. That'll again reset the count. But you kind of look at this situation, the seasoned veterans, the multi-time former champions, the Disney Queens know every trick in the book, and they are using it against the less experienced Huntrix.
Tag was made, by the way, so Rapunzel, is now legal.
Zoe back into the ring, but a lot of damage done on the outside, and a relatively fresh Rapunzel now ready to feed as goes in for the cover after the big boot. And that's gonna be enough.
Wow. That is about as demoralizing as it gets for Huntrix.
And there you see them fall to 0-2. So as you said, essentially eliminated. Now Disney Queens still have a fighting chance. One has to wonder where Huntrix goes from here. They still have one more matchup still to go against Team Let It Go.
I mean, you gotta play spoiler at this point. Do whatever you can just to get a win. Again, no wins of any kind in FWE, singles or tag.
Well, last week in the #1 Contenders Battle Royal for the Intercontinental Championship, Mojo Jojo had a very short debut as he was eliminated in the early going by Aladdin. He seeks a little level of revenge here tonight, makes his one-on-one debut against Aladdin up next here on Thursday Night Throwdown.
following contest is scheduled for one fall, making his way to the ring, representing the outsider from Baghdad, Iraq, weighing in at 215 pounds, Prince.
Well, we mentioned before the commercial break, Aladdin eliminated Mojo Jojo in that #1 Contenders Battle Royal for the Intercontinental Championship. Aladdin would last into the final 3. It was himself, Jason Voorhees, and the eventual winner, his tag team partner, Flynn Rider, who will face Carlos Zimmerman for the IC title coming up here Sunday night at Fantasia.
Aladdin in the ring now because Mojo Jojo, again, like you said, not too pleased with the fact that his stay was very short in that match.
Wait a minute. That is not Mojo Jojo's music.
No, it is not.
We mentioned about the fact Jason Voorhees was involved in that final 3. That is, oh my gosh, look over your shoulder.
He has no idea.
Voorhees is coming through the crowd. Now he sees him. Jason Voorhees was basically essentially 2-on-1 by the Outsiders last week in that Battle Royal, and now has his sights set on Aladdin.
Maybe a measure of revenge?
Aladdin's got to get out of there. Who knows what's on the mind of Jason Voorhees?
I mean, Aladdin, the grudge matches never go well for this guy.
Aladdin standing his ground here. Voorhees slowly making his way into the ring. I don't think he's out here to talk. Oh, gracious!
Oh, man.
Just flattens Aladdin with the clothesline, and I think the message is pretty clear. Voorhees is not happy that he was eliminated in that Battle Royal last week, and he is taking out his frustration on Aladdin. You see Referee Ernest right in there. The bell has not rung. This is not official. This was supposed to be Aladdin and Mojo Jojo.
Oh. Mojo Jojo nowhere in sight right now. This is all Jason just taking out his anger, his rage on Aladdin. You know, Aladdin, I respect the fact that he's trying to stand his ground, but at the end of the day, I take on the bigger men in planned matches. When I had all those matches with Thanos, everything was basically planned. This caught him completely off guard. He has no idea that Jason was even going to be here.
Well, you mentioned about the luck of Aladdin with bigger men, and obviously you're alluding to that feud he had with Hades that did not go very well for him. Of course, suffered the neck injury that put him on the shelf for a number of weeks. I think he was actually out for a couple of months. At least we can see the face of Hades get a bit of an expression and know, maybe take a guesstimation of what he's thinking with Voorhees and that mask. Who knows what's going on in his sick mind?
Nothing good, I can promise you that. I don't know why this is still going on. I don't know why security hasn't gotten out here and broke this thing up.
That's
Aladdin is
great point.
Completely wrecked right now.
This is not an official match. Voorhees just laying into Aladdin.
Oh,
no.
No.
Nothing good could come of this. What in the world? He's got his hands full of steel steps. Aladdin is prone on the ground. Aladdin might not want to get up. Oh, gosh!
Sandwiched between the steel steps and the barricade.
And targeting that upper neck region again.
Oh.
We documented the neck injury he suffered.
He's still not done.
Where the heck is security? Ernest right out here. I don't blame him.
look
Oh,
out.
gosh. Look out. Voorhees has just cleared off our table. Now steel chair in hand. Aladdin with a glaze over look in his eyes. I don't think he knows where he is.
Somebody needs to get out here and help this guy.
Oh, gosh. Steel chair to the head. Aladdin's been busted open, no doubt from one of those shots with the steel steps. If no security, where is Flynn Rider?
That's what I'm wondering. This is what I'm saying. Nobody wants to come out here and try to help him right now. Jason has bad intentions too. The way he ripped that cover off of our announce table, cleared our monitor.
No! Oh, gosh! Aladdin choke slammed through our table. I'm looking into his eyes. He might be unconscious.
Somebody needs to get a medic out here. We need security. We need everything. I have no idea where we go from here or what happens, but clearly Jason is not going to let this one go from Aladdin.
Well, we welcome you back here to Thursday Night Throwdown. We're still trying to process what just happened moments ago as we get ready for one-on-one action here between Katniss Everdeen and Mulan. Just moments ago, if you're just joining us, Aladdin was set to go one-on-one with Mojo Jojo. Jason Voorhees would make his way through the crowd and maliciously attack Aladdin, targeting the head and neck region with steel steps and a steel chair, and then finishing him off with a choke slam through our announce table. It was right out in front of us, Jack, and Aladdin had to be stretchered out of here. We're still waiting to see if we can get any kind of medical update on him.
I don't know if we're going to get one for quite some time, though. It usually takes a while to get those medical updates, and considering what he was just put through, I mean, that's going to be a scary thought there if you're Aladdin, and maybe a scary thought there if you're Flynn Rider. You know, if Jason is going after the outsiders here, you'd have to think that Flynn has to keep eyes in the back of his head.
A single grain of rice.
Of course, Flynn's got that Intercontinental Championship match coming up here on Sunday. Mulan getting ready to make her in-ring debut here on Thursday nights. Of course, the last time we saw her in a wrestling ring, it was inside of the Lost Empire Lockdown match at Combat Evolved. She, along with Jasmine and Ariel, the Disney Queens, coming out victorious in that 3-on-3 women's match.
Yeah, slowly but surely, you have to figure at some point that 6 women who were involved in that Lost Empire Lockdown match are going to start working their way back on TV here as they continue to recover from that insane match. I mean, that was just sheer chaos, and honestly, I mean, you have to wonder how Mulan is going to go forward here, especially knowing that he's got that rematch at some point soon.
It's ready to take on Katniss Everdeen, one half of Catching Fireflies, the other half of that tag team, Ellie and Mulan. Thursday night following Fantasia, Mulan and Ellie will finish off the trilogy between the two of them, an ambulance match for that female fighting championship.
Yeah, this is the thing that we've talked about here. You know, I mentioned it during our very first match of the night. Fatigue, stamina, endurance, it's all going to be a thing. Now that PLEs are taking place on Sundays, you know, there's a bit of a change. You don't have a full week to wait before you have to travel and get ready for your next matchup. As soon as you're done here tonight, you've got to make your way to Orlando stat.
Katniss had the upper hand for a brief moment. Mulan able to turn the momentum around, and now Katniss some back and forth between these two. Both women formerly and now current holders of the Female Fighting Championship. Mulan, a multi-time holder of the title and the current holder of the belt. Katniss Everdeen formerly held the belt as well. That was back when the belt was defended in those 8-woman over-the-top rope battle royals.
And that championship, it's certainly come a long way here in FWE. It was only the Battle Royal match type at first, but over time it's evolved. It was defended inside the Elimination Chamber match with Mortal Kombat, and it's really been put through its paces ever since, especially now that we've gone into this new era.
Yeah, to your point, with this new era, it's kind of in a sense elevated itself up to the main, at least one of the main women's mid-card title matches, or belts, kind of equal with the women's hardcore title that's put on the line on Saturdays.
These two wearing each other down right now in the middle of the ring. Wrenching on that arm a little bit right now is Mulan.
Mulan, not by much, but a slightly shorter individual to Katniss. Trying to keep Katniss grounded, take away the potential power game. Katniss relies on the strength factor, whereas Mulan, she's got that martial arts background, that karate background, those massive kicks, of course, has that ultimate dishonor that we've seen her hit on numerous opponents. Remember back when she first won the female fighting championship, the stipulation matchups that she always defended the title in were those knockout matchups, and the martial arts always seemed to come into play in her favor in those type of stipulation matches.
Absolutely, and that would make you think, oh, nice.
Just like that.
Make you think that, the outside of the ring is her playground here. Of course, in this matchup, you got to play by the rules. As you already heard our referee, Ernest Wright, he's up to a 4 count now.
We would eventually see Mulan lose the female fighting championship in one of those knockout matches to Ellie. Won the title back at Open Fight Night in the first ever women's underground match. And now she'll defend that belt against Ellie in an ambulance match next Thursday night.
Which is not the PLE. Normally used to next Thursday night being
exactly.
the PLE. Times have changed. Cover is in by Mulan. Trying to put an end to this one quickly, but Katniss will kick out at 1.
Mulan trying to build some momentum towards that title defense. Oh, nice snap suplex there by Katniss. Just kind of looking ahead to the future. If Mulan is able to defeat Ellie and retain the female fighting championship, if Katniss can pick up a victory here tonight, does that maybe put her in the conversation for a title shot somewhere down the road?
I think it very well could. Mulan right now is asking for this chop to the chest.
Honestly, not sure if Katniss wants to be in this battle with Mulan. Those dangerous punches and chops with that martial arts style, but given just as good as she's getting.
Another punch for good measure. It looks like she's going to try and win this. Never mind, hockey fight.
Who's going to win out in this bludgeoning? And it looks like neither one really gained the upper hand. Both stunned, but hold on. Oh, I thought maybe, just maybe, Katniss was setting Mulan up for that razor's edge. No, instead, got her up on her shoulders. Oh, and hits the waistland. Cover is in on the female fighting champion, and Mulan gets out at 2.9. That
point you made earlier about Katniss potentially having a claim in the future to the championship. Here comes the razor's edge.
Got her up.
Oh,
reversal! Hits the neck breaker, does Mulan. Katniss now down. Mulan climbs up to the top rope.
Double axe handle to the top of the head connects.
Oh, and now gonna hoist Katniss up on her shoulders. Brings her down with the Falcon's arrow. Hooks the leg, cover is in, and Katniss somehow gets the shoulder up at 2.
Back and forth we go here in this one, and now Katniss rolling back up to her feet just to meet that clothesline from Mulan.
Now Katniss rolls to the outside. Mulan not going to allow her to breathe. Oh, Enziguri catches Mulan to the side of the head, though.
Raining in those shots from above.
Again, non-title match. There's no champion's advantage with a count out here. Katniss back inside of the ring, and looked like she was kind of, in a sense, challenging Mulan to get back in, but instead goes back out to meet her once again.
And you would think this area has been Mulan's playground with all those knockout matches, but so far Katniss has held her own.
going for that kick off the springboard with the top rope. Mulan too far away. This time she'll get the distance she needed with an assistance from the top rope.
On that leg even more. Mulan down and out. Some more kicks while she's on the ground for good measure.
Katniss trying to maybe set the tone here tonight for Catching Fireflies. Is her tag team partner Ellie going to be involved in that semi-final match against Jasmine to move on to the finals for the Iron Queen Championship Tournament? Elizabeth Swann already advancing earlier on tonight.
So against the odds too in that triple threat match. Oh, flying cross body connects.
Cover in here by Mulan on Katniss. Leg is hooked and again able to power out at two is Katniss. Did you notice the leg Mulan had hooked there as well? She had hit that left leg hamstring, and I noticed when she was making her way up to the top rope, Katniss was shaking that leg, trying to get some circulation back in, so that might be a bullseye now for the champ.
Very well could be. You know how good Mulan is at picking out those areas of weakness. That could be what she tries and gets done here tonight.
Katniss off the top rope with a double axe handle, now setting Mulan up potentially here. Wasn't able to hit District 12 the first time. Will the second time be the charm? District 12 connects. Into the cover, hooks the leg. And Katniss has pinned the female fighting champion.
Here is your winner, the Anarchist, Catherine.
Well, you can see the battle scars on the face. That might have been the whole hacky fight exchange between the two. But now, with a decisive victory over Mulan, one certainly would have to wonder what the future of Katniss Everdeen looks like in regards to that female fighting title.
I feel like no matter who holds that title after next week's Thursday Night Throwdown, Katniss is going to be #1 in line. I mean, no matter what happens here, I feel like that win over the current champion is what's going to give her that #1 contender status going forward.
Well, could Catching Fireflies pull off the sweep here tonight? Katniss with the victory, hoping that Ellie can do the same. But at next, soon-to-be enemies have to work together tonight. William Turner, the Triwizard Champion, the #1 contender, Robbie Gilman. They team together against the Disciples of Darkness in tag team action next. Well, the Disciples of Darkness have certainly made their presence felt here on Thursday nights, specifically surrounding the Triwizard Championship. We've seen Nick Gunther in a couple of matchups with William Turner. We saw Hades involved in a matchup last week against the #1 contender, Robbie Gilman, and really a lot of this tag team matchup stems from what occurred in the closing stages of that one-on-one matchup.
Absolutely, and I mean, you know, that's something that, you know, it might be a bit of an interesting thing that we see happen here, because Will Turner obviously wanted his future opponent to be as healthy as he possibly could for the matchup, but then put himself in the line of fire in the process.
260 pounds.
back to what you were talking about in the previous matchup, the fact that not only us, but everybody on the rosters have to get used to the fact that now the PLEs have moved to Sunday nights. Robbie Gilvin was involved in that matchup last week against Hades. He's involved in tag team action here tonight with William Turner. Where is Robbie Gilvin going to be at physically as he will fight for the very first time for a world title here in Fantasy Wrestling Entertainment?
It really just depends on how this matchup goes, and you would have to think that the Disciples of Darkness are going to do everything they can to wear him down because they know exactly what the situation is. You know, as soon as we're done here, Robbie and Will basically have to get their butts over to Orlando as quickly as they can. So, see how it all plays out.
And representing the crew from Manchester, England, weighing in at 200 pounds, the men's world champion, William Turner.
Well, you mentioned about the goal for the Disciples of Darkness to wear down Robbie Gilvin. That's what they tried to do last week as Nick would give a steel chair to Hades and they were going to try and target some part of Robbie Gilvin's body, put him at a disadvantage going into Fantasia. William Turner would hit the ring. He would drive the Disciples of Darkness away. And I have to ask, do you agree with the mentality of William Turner coming down to the aid of Robbie Gilvin, in a sense turning away a potential advantage that he could have defending his title at the PLE? Or could it have possibly been just the fact that the Disciples of Darkness were involved in that and the previous bouts between him and Nick Gunther kind of came into play?
I feel like maybe that could be the case. I mean, you know, it's an interesting question for sure because on the one hand, if you're Will Turner, you know, you just watch your future opponent for the belt just get attacked. I respect the fact that he wants to win clean, though. I respect the fact that he came to his aid because he knows that when they eventually have their matchup at Fantasia, it's just going to be a clean one-on-one. But I really don't know if it's the smartest thing trying to get involved with the Disciples of Darkness.
The Gunther, Robbie Gilvin, kind of interesting. These two starting the matchup out as a couple of weeks ago, these two were in one-on-one action to determine who the number one contender was going to be, and Robbie Gilvin ended up winning that matchup. So Gunther looking for a little level of revenge here against the now number one contender.
I mean, let's not forget the issues that stem between Nick Gunther and Will Turner as well, because Nick was pretty ticked off at Will Turner that Will Turner stole the Shadow Lord disguise to basically sneak his way past Michael Norman and cash in his contract.
Oh, DDT there by Hades to Robbie Gilvin into the cover, looking to pin Robbie for the second straight week, and Robbie gonna kick out there at one. And that DDT, I believe, did bust open Robbie Gilvin. So yes, William Turner did save Robbie from near disaster last week, but if Robbie's been busted open this early on in the going, 72 hours of recovery time's not a whole lot. You gotta wonder if maybe on the plane ride down to Orlando, that'll be in the back of William Turner's mind.
Could very well be, as they got out one there by Hades. Gotta wonder as well what would happen here if Hades or Nick Gunther were able to get a pinfall victory over Will Turner.
That's a great point.
And Will Turner retains the title. I mean, they could be next in line for the Tri-Wizard Championship.
Or a scenario, what if they end up pinning Robbie Gilvin and Gilvin wins the title at Fantasia himself?
And they could also be first in line for those title belts as well.
Turner makes the tag into Robbie Gilvin. And now Gunther, he's certainly targeting that head wound right up around the hairline, laying in those shots. Kick to the gut for good measure, and Robbie rolling to the outside, maybe to buy a little bit of time, but not going to be a whole lot of rest opportunity as Gunther again with a shot to the midsection.
It's definitely an interesting situation here if you're Robbie Gilvin. This is the first time, there's pressure on him for sure. This is the first time he's really been a number one contender for a world title. He's got a lot to prove by winning that matchup, or at least trying to win this matchup on Sunday, so.
I mean, you've been in that scenario. You've been both challenger and champion with mid-card titles and the World Championship. What are the type of differences that you feel when you are going for or defending titles that are maybe at different statuses up and down the card?
I mean, there's definitely butterflies for sure. And I mean, I say that having been in the ring plenty of times, but I think the butterflies are a good thing too, because if you're not feeling nervous, then you're just not ready. You're cold-hearted. You're not feeling really any emotions, and maybe some people on the FWE roster would fit that bill. Nice backstabber there, but you know, at the same time, when there's a world title on the line, amplify all that by 2, 3, 4 even. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of pressure for sure.
Oh, another backstabber. The Davies Doom connects to Gunther. Is that enough to pick up this victory? And
Wow.
It is.
Here are your winners. And William
Certainly some punishment dished out by the Disciples of Darkness in this matchup, but I don't think it was as much as they were intending.
William Turner picking up the victory. He and Gilvin raise each other's arms tonight, but they will be throwing arms in a few days' time with the Tri-Wizard title on the line. Well, folks, up next, it is our main event. Elizabeth Swann waits in the wings to find out who her opponent will be in the finals at Fantasia for the Iron Queen Championship. It's Jasmine versus Ellie next.
Listen to me. If I get in trouble down there, you make every shot count.
I got this.
The following is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring, representing the Anarchist from Boston, Massachusetts, Lee Williams.
Well, it is a full calendar for Ellie Williams in the next couple of weeks. We talked about Elizabeth Swann having to go through both members of the Unholy Union to advance into the finals at Fantasia. Ellie now going to have to make her way through not one but 2 Disney Queens, as she was able to knock off Ariel last week. And again, as we mentioned, Jack, she's already got slated next Thursday night an ambulance match with Mulan for the Female Fighting Championship. There's a possibility she could be going into that matchup as the inaugural Iron Queen champion.
Definitely unique possibility here for Ellie, and you know that would also raise the possibility she could be the first person since yours truly to hold 2 singles belts at the same time.
Her teammate Katniss Everdeen with a victory earlier on tonight against Mulan, so both members of Catching Fireflies throwing their name into the Female Fighting Championship conversation, but just one final step to get to the championship finals this coming Sunday night.
And representing the Outsiders from Babylon, the Diamond Princess.
Well, as Jasmine makes her way out here to ringside, Jack, I can't help but think back to the days when Jasmine's status in the Disney Queens was hanging by a thread. She was basically given an ultimatum that she had to win the Women's Hardcore Championship or she was going to be out of the faction. Fast forward to tonight. She is the last representative of the Disney Queens with a shot of being the first holder of the Iron Queen title. Only one other Disney Queen has held a world championship here in FWE. That was Mulan.
Certainly feels like the tables have turned a little bit now, and Jasmine is going to be hopefully looking to continue that path towards her own, I guess, redemption as well, because she did win that hardcore title that the Disney Queens wanted her to win, but it didn't take her very long to drop that title either, so this is a big match for her here tonight.
Well, the hardcore title was one of the members of the winning team in the Lost Empire lockdown match, and was able to defeat Black Widow last week to advance into this semi-final match here tonight. A former hardcore champion against a former female fighting champion. Bell rings, and here we go. Now this is entirely different from the matchup we had earlier on tonight where it was triple threat. In this matchup, there are countouts and there are disqualifications.
What a time it has been here for tournaments. I mean, it feels like kind of the easiest way to decide these new championships that have been introduced after the draft. We've had to determine new men's world champions on the Saturday Night Smash brand. Over here, the new women's championship on Thursday Night Throwdown. And of course, on Saturday Night Smash, that's been a fatal four-way tournament as well. So we're going to get the next two matches in that tournament, the last two semifinal matches, before we determine the four men who will fight for the men's Universal Heavyweight Championship at Fantasia. This match to determine the other finalists in the Iron Queen Championship.
Ellie now in control after getting out of that headlock via the jawbreaker. Yeah, as you mentioned, with these tournaments here on both the women's and the men's side to determine the world champions, those vacant title belts, a lot of question marks going to be answered by time we conclude the Fantasia PLE. And just looking at this as well, regardless of who advances between Ellie and Jasmine, as wait a minute, top rope superplex, and at least this time the ring held up.
Yeah, I didn't think that it was going to destroy the ring. I feel like the ring has been reinforced a little bit better this time, but still.
I was going to mention that whether Ellie wins this matchup or Jasmine wins this matchup, one of them is going to advance to face Elizabeth Swan, and that will be a first time ever one-on-one matchup between opponents. Elizabeth Swan has never faced Jasmine or Ellie one-on-one so far here in Fantasy Wrestling Entertainment, and Ellie nearly ended up being that one she was going to face.
That would have been a steal right there. That would have made it a 2-for-2 night for the members of Catching Fireflies. Katniss was able to get kind of an important victory there for her because she pinned the current female fighting champion.
Yeah, kind of interesting. We're kind of almost running it back. A Catching Firefly member against a Disney Queen member. Oh,
man.
I'm not sure Jasmine got all that roundhouse kick, but she got enough of it to stun Ellie. And there you see referee Ernest Wright beginning the count.
Eventually going to have to work their way back inside the ring, although in this case, with this just being a tournament semifinal, a count-out victory would be enough to win the match and move on.
Jasmine into the cover, forearm in the face here of Ellie, who's going to kick out before a count of one. Disney Queens had two representatives in this tournament, Ellie eliminating one of them last week in Ariel. So Jasmine is the last hope for the Disney Queens to bring a world championship back into the faction. Of course, we mentioned Mulan, the first Disney Queen to win a world title. That was back when she defeated Elizabeth Swan on the biggest stage of them all at Paramount in that 2 out of 3 tables match.
I have to wonder if we're ever going to see that match stipulation again. Nice drop kick there.
Well, we've had a lot of firsts here in FWE, and we're running it back for the first time to the Fantasia PLE, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some runbacks of that stipulation in the future.
Could very well be the case.
Top rope, double axe handle to the forehead by Jasmine. Into the cover, again doesn't hook the leg, and only gets a 1 count.
I'm going to mention it one more time, too, the endurance and stamina thing. I mean, with these new Sunday PLEs, as soon as we're done here, the winner of this matchup has to make their way down to Orlando. Cover here. Kick out at 1 again. Doesn't quite hook the leg there, and at least power it out.
I mean, think about the possibility. Whoa, gracious. Almost a modified coffin drop there by Ellie. Now think about the possibility if Ellie advances here, then it'd be a matchup here tonight. It'd be a match against Elizabeth Swan Sunday night, and then it's an ambulance match the following Thursday. 3 matches, 3 intense matches in the span of a week for Ellie Williams.
probably something we're going to bring up on Saturday as well. The fact that you have that match, and then you have to, in that tournament, you have to go to Orlando and get ready for the title match the next day. So, you know, it's a change of pace for everybody here, not just us on commentary, but in terms of everybody else with the wrestling.
Absolutely massive leg drop from the top rope, and hold on.
Almost had a feeling this would happen.
The woman that Ellie eliminated last week in the tournament, Ariel's music playing.
Here?
Might just be a distraction here, and oh! Sinister Spores by Jasmine, turning the tables on Ellie.
The referee missed that.
Cover is in, and oh, Jasmine nearly stole one using the Sinister Spores that Ellie has used to her success multiple times.
How in the world did Ernest Wright miss that? That's a disqualification. Disney Queen's playing tricks on everybody.
Jasmine almost just stole her way to Fantasia, and that has now turned the momentum in favor of the Diamond Princess. Going up top, maybe looking for Desert Wind. This is how she eliminated Black Widow. Is it enough to go to the finals? Jasmine will face Swan at Fantasia.
Here is your winner, the Diamond.
I mean, say what you want about the way that match ended, but nevertheless, I think you can't question the Disney Queen's chemistry at this point, even if they're using the underhanded tactics. So far, so good as it puts Jasmine in the tournament finals against Elizabeth Swan.
Well, Elizabeth Swan holds the record for longest reign with a world championship. Jasmine has never won a world title. They will face off against each other this Sunday night for the inaugural FWE Women's Iron Queen Championship. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. We will see you guys Saturday night for the Go Home show of Saturday Night Smash. We thank you for joining us here tonight on Thursday Night Throwdown.